I think that we'll go ahead and get started because there's so much to talk about. So I'm going to take myself.
And because we love this song so much, we're going to listen to it again.
Hey!
Hi, TJ.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I love it.
This guy right here, Julian Roca, everybody. And
Yes,
of course, I am TJ Dawson, and we are co-hosting Fantastical Fridays. Welcome. And so I want to...
Welcome, everybody.
Yeah, it's like really hooky. It's really catchy.
Right?
Okay, so I have a knock-knock joke for you.
Okay, go ahead.
Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Snap.
Snap who?
Oh, snap. Our special guest today is one of the stars of Disney Channel's hit show, Raven's Home.
Hey!
She's graced your TV screens as the beloved Chelsea Daniels. So please welcome, and TJ, take it away from here.
Oh my God, I love it. You know that we, you have to be obviously fans of that show to have gotten that, but that is one of the big lines that get said all the time on that show. So great way to start out this Fantastical Friday with the incredible Annaliese Vanderpool. Thank you so much for coming on. We miss you. And yeah, I'm so glad you're staying safe and sane during this crazy time. Yeah, I'm really busy.
Yeah, really busy. Thanks for saying that. First, I just want to say hi to everybody. I recognize some faces, Janaea and Misha and everybody. Hi, you guys. Yeah, no, I've just been staying busy. I can't believe I didn't get that Oh Snap reference. That just shows I need to get out more and I'm stuck inside. I don't get any jokes or anything anymore.
The good thing is you can rewatch them because your show is on Disney Channel right now, going into its 4th season.
It is, you sweet thing. My light. See, and I have to do my own lighting at home, which I'm not used to, and it's really hard. Yeah, we're doing 4th season now. We're shooting 4th season now. Of course, it was interrupted, but it's been going great. We've been really lucky that our show just keeps going. I mean, from That's a Raven to Raven's Home, it's pretty cool. I'm very lucky.
It's amazing. You're really, really lucky. I want to talk about real quick, kind of to bring us up to That's So Raven, and then we'll dive into Raven's Home and Broadway and all the in-between. So Annaliese and our family go back to when we were tiny children. We were in the glory of Christmas together at the Crystal Cathedral, God rest its soul, where my brother and Annaliese were child soloists, and my wife was an angel, and I rode a camel, and man, it was a time. But we go back, way, way back. I always say about myself that I was born at 40 and then just got older, and Annaliese always has had an old soul too. When she sent me a voice text the other day, I was like, I felt like I was being spoken to by an old Hollywood movie star, because like she just had this like, hello darling, how are you? It was just so
You're saying I'm old. You're calling me old, you dude.
No. You look amazing.
Thank you. I got so much light on my face right now. Thank you.
Yeah, no, and you are so much younger than me, so stop it. No. But yeah, no, it's been amazing because then I remember when you did Evita. How old were you when you did Evita?
I did Evita when I was 15.
Yeah, I remember because when I heard you got that, it was obviously before you weren't Annaliese Vanderpool. You were like Annaliese Vanderpool. And like, so I went to go see that, and I was thinking like, oh my gosh, like 15 years old, how in the world is she gonna? And then I sat there and I was like, oh my God, like your voice, the acting, everything was just insane, off the hook. And I knew, I was like, this girl, and you had a mom especially that was just so on your side, which is so important, and ready to like drive you to all the places and hook you up, you know what I mean? And like help make it happen, which is so important. And I love your mother.
Thank you. I can't believe you brought up the glory of Christmas. Is the glory of Christmas still happening at the Crystal Cathedral?
No, the Crystal Cathedral went bankrupt and is like owned by the Catholic Church now, and it's called Christ Cathedral, and the glory of Christmas ended like 10 years ago.
Wait, you guys did the Crystal Cathedral show? Amazing.
They found out that there was a Jew performing there.
Yeah.
Like, no more.
Your fault.
What did I sing? I think I sang, what can I give him? What can I give him? Poor I am.
Yes.
And what did Daniel sing?
He
Silent
sang
Night.
Silent Night. Yes.
I remember, and every night they had like live camels on stage and stuff, and every
Yeah.
night I stepped in poop in camels.
Yes.
Every
Every
night.
night.
No
Every
fail.
night. Were you there when like the baby animals were like born on stage? Were you ever there when like
Yes, it was magnificent.
the sheep were born on stage and stuff?
Yeah, I always wanted to be an angel too and fly. You know, it was so cool.
Gretchen got to do that, and then my wife did it for a long time. But yeah, I know that always looked really cool. Yeah.
What did I get off track? Oh yeah, Evita. Wait, what?
Oh yeah, I know Evita. Sorry, we did get off track. But yeah, I just remember going like, holy crap! And your mom. I was telling about your mom, how incredible that was. That you guys were such a team.
Thanks, we were. She was an avid theater goer, really the biggest fan of the arts I ever met. She saw probably 2 or 3 things a week and really loved the theater and was always so supportive, which not everybody gets. I was so lucky. But I remember when I got Evita, I auditioned for The Mistress. I don't know if any of you have ever seen
Actually, the mistress from that production is in the room right now, Anna Maria Gedney. Yeah.
Where is she?
She's somewhere, but Anna,
I'm right here.
Wave.
Oh, hi, honey. Oh, my God. You
Oh,
look
yeah.
exactly
I look so horrible right now. That's why I don't put my video on.
Oh, honey.
I'm like hardcore, like, oh, there's the
You look exactly the same, young.
Thank you. I turned 40 this year, so what a year to turn 40, right?
Yeah, I know, not the best year. 40 in 2020, yeah. But you'll remember it. Everyone will remember 2020 for sure.
Yes. So you auditioned for The Mistress.
I auditioned for The Mistress, and I remember they called my mom and asked me to do Ava, and she said, "Oh, no, you're mistaken. You know." And they said, "No." And she said, "Really, you're mistaken. My daughter's really young." But they weren't, and they let me do it, and it was really challenging and hard, but awesome. It was.
Oh, you slayed it. I just remember going like, okay, like that was the moment for me. I always knew that you were obviously gifted and talented, but that was the moment where I was like, yeah, she's gonna do something. And I didn't know what, but I was just like, it was very like watching that in Buena Park of all places, just going like, wait, she's 15 years old and handling a role like you could have done it right then on Broadway. And I wouldn't say that if I didn't mean it. It was truly incredible. So anyway, flash forward, you're going on auditions, and then you get to audition for That's So Raven. Tell us about that process. Tell us about how'd you book that, and how did that come to be, and what was the beginning of that process like?
That's a great questions. I do feel old, man. I feel old because this was back when I think they had open casting calls. Like you could still, like, even if you didn't have an agent for television, you could still go on like a big open casting call. And then long story short, they thought, well, why don't we just make Raven the lead? And so they started looking for a sidekick for Raven. And then they started, how do I say this, sort of scaling down like the star level. And so they would kind of see nobodies. So they had a big casting call. And my mom took me to it. Like you said, she drove those hours and hours. And what happened? Then they dyed my hair and did all this stuff. I'm not telling a very good story at all, but they screen tested me and tried to change my look. I kind of looked pretty goth at the time. I was really older looking. I was playing lead roles on shows, not young girls, young characters. Anyway, but then they didn't give it to me. They gave it to some other girl. They shot 1 episode for a week. Then they fired her. Then they gave it to another girl. Then they shot another episode for a week. And then they fired her, and then they hired me. 3rd time's a charm. So those episodes never aired, which is weird.
Oh, I was gonna say, because you're not, like, for example, in the first episode of That's So Raven, right? Like, you're not in the very first episode.
Right. So like they had filmed some pilots,
Okay. Without the friend. Yeah.
Yes. And then they were like, whatever. And then they just started filming. And then I remember they just hired me weekly, even though I was Chelsea and her friend. Every week they'd say, okay, you can come next week. Okay, you can come next week. They just kept hiring me as a guest star. It was like the most terrifying process ever. But I definitely earned my role, my title there, I guess you could say.
Yeah, really. I mean, because a lot of the time people don't end up making it out of the weekly hire into like series regular into, being like a co-star. I mean, like, it's truly an amazing story. So what was the set like for you? And just being so brand new, not having a lot of film and TV, like, or any film and TV on your resume really at that point? You'd done maybe some commercials or something, right?
No, nothing. I didn't do
Nothing.
anything. Yeah.
Wow. So truly like a overnight Cinderella success story where you're like, no experience, and then you go into booking That So Raven and being like a comedic genius.
I guess so. I guess so. But it just goes to show the power of theater, because I didn't feel like that. I felt like it was so easy compared to what I was doing on stage, you know? Like, I mean, it was amazing because I was like, oh, I guess I'll be on TV now, which was cool, but and a big deal. But I don't even remember what the question was. I'm so sorry.
Actually, Annaliese, do you remember your first episode? The first episode you were on was actually the second episode of the first season, called Party Animal.
Party animal? What happened in it?
You were a party animal.
Sorry, I don't know why I expected you to know. Julian's like, I don't know. I'm not like.
Raven has a vision of Corey saying he hates her, so she goes to great lengths throw him the best day party ever. Does that ring any bells?
It kind of does. I thought whatever first episode aired, I don't know. But the first episode I remember working on my first week there. Raven and I were on that scaffold. We were doing that Lucy and Ethel thing where we're like swinging on a scaffold and we're like in yellow construction gear. And I just remember we were up there and we bonded. We were up there for hours and hours all day long, and we really bonded. And I just remember we were sitting there eating M&Ms. They just kept feeding us food because they couldn't bring us down. We were up really high, up close to the lights. I remember being really hot. Gosh, it's just like fragments of my memory that come up, you know?
Did you guys do your own stunts on the show?
I mean, yeah, well, I'm not Tom Cruise. I mean, we didn't fly off in any planes, but yeah, we did our own stunts.
Amazing. So what about, was singing a part of your, like, because I know Raven's a singer, just saw her on The Masked Singers, and she did such a good job. She killed it as the Black Widow. It's so good. But anyway, was that a part, or was it happenstance, or like, oh, you can sing and now that's gonna be a thing, or like, how did that come to be?
Well, these are all such good questions, TJ. Yeah, this is kind of before music really took off for the Disney Channel. This is definitely before High School Musical. Again, more on the Lizzie McGuire, even Steven stage, where like they weren't doing musical episodes or like big finales or starting any like bands or groups. But yeah, I did get to do a cover of Candle on the Water and Over It and some other stuff.
Yeah.
Original audition, I don't think I did sing. No.
Oh wow, so it was just like a discovery that like, oh, she can sing, and now we're gonna start doing that, because you were.
Yeah, but they didn't know what to do with me. I was doing Judy Garland and Barbra Streisand songs. I sang with vibrato. I only knew theater. Raven was singing Janet Jackson, and maybe I knew some Destiny's Child or whatever, but I must have seemed like, first of all, so white, and also just like a musical theater kid, which really didn't help me in a lot of ways. It didn't help me get to that next step. It didn't help me, get in a show like, in a movie like High School Musical or anything like that. I just, with me, unfortunately, not to harp on the negative, but I think they always appreciated that I could sing. And I think, I wonder what it was. I think it was Hannah Montana that really let the Disney Channel and Disney know that that really, if you wanted to be on the Disney Channel, if you wanted to audition for the Disney Channel, you needed to be a triple threat. You needed to be able to sing, dance, and act.
Yeah, and it clearly has turned into that. So tell me about like going from being just a normal OSHA high school student, being flung into Hollywood, and then eventually becoming like a household name. Like what was the most unexpected positive and maybe the most unexpected negative from that?
Well, there are so many positives. I mean, I got to leave school, which is really cool. Oh my gosh, like that was the best thing in the world to me. Like I didn't care as long as I got to leave school, which is not something I should be saying, but I hated school. I just hated it so much. I was so bad and I just couldn't sit still. So that was one of the greatest things. I remember my mom picked me up. I think I've told this story before, but she picked me up outside of OSHA. She when she would say 311. Oh, this is back before cell phones. I had a pager. She would text me 311, and that would mean I had an audition, and OSHA would let you leave. And I came downstairs, and she had Mickey Mouse ears on. And it was kind of her way of telling me that I'd booked the show, that I'd booked That's So Raven.
Oh.
Yeah, it was really sweet. But I think, the best thing was that I got to leave school. And
that's just so funny. That I got to leave school. Not like I got to, hang out with famous people or I got to be on TV, but that I got to leave school. I mean,
that I got to leave school, that I got to be on TV and make people laugh and do what I love. I was already making money because I was working in the cafeteria at my school at Bellflower Middle School, and then at Washington, the Bellflower Middle School, and then at OSHA, I was making hostessing money and stuff. So, and the Disney money was nice, but that wasn't new. I think, I think it sounds exciting about the fame part, but it just, you get over it so quickly. It's like one person recognizes you and then another person, and then you're like, yeah, okay. I don't know. It wasn't it didn't feel like, oh, I'm famous now at all. It still doesn't. Maybe because I'm not that famous, but so that aspect wasn't different, but I definitely liked making people laugh, that I got to make people laugh on a daily basis. That was really cool. And that I had made such great friends like Raven and Orlando and really everybody else I met on that show. I mean, we did the show for almost 7 years.
Yeah, it was a great run. What a great run. And it was so funny. I'm watching it now with my kids and they're loving it.
I'm so glad.
So I want to talk about, so obviously That's So Raven, and you had so many other incredible TV shows and things that you did, albums and everything. But you got, I think, had to have been such a surreal and cool experience. And I'd love to hear about what that was like for you. You got the honor to be the final Belle in Beauty and the Beast on, that's a cartoon, of course, that came out when we were kids and that we grew up with. And then the show came out when we were kids and had been running for such a long time on Broadway. And so many different people and different icons got to step into that yellow gown. But then you got to be the last one with Donny Osmond. That's insane.
I'm still here. Hold on.
Yeah.
I have photos, and I was just trying to see if I can find one.
I love it.
Of me and Susan Egan, because I had followed her career for so long because she went to OSHA and did so much, kind of had the same path. Oh, look, it's me and Susan Egan.
Oh my God.
I love it.
Sorry, that took me on a different thing. What was the question?
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
I love it. I can see why you didn't like school. No.
Kids stay in school.
Yeah, right now. So, I was just saying, what was that like for you? How did that come about? Did you reach out? Did they reach out? And then, how fast was your rehearsal process and stepping in? And just what was it like being a Disney princess for all those little girls? And then, and the final performance, how magical was that? A final performance on Broadway is always such a bittersweet and such a, I'm sure, its own kind of magical thing to be a part of. So just like an opening night. So what was that like?
Yeah, I said a little earlier that Disney didn't know what to do with me, and that's not true. They did appreciate my voice, and it did parlay into this job, this gig of playing Belle, which was magical. It was everything. I'll say the good and the bad. Somebody named Mark Russman, he was one of the producers of the show, and he had a niece who was a fan of mine who had mentioned that I sing. And, other people had done it, like Christy Carlson Romano and so many other actresses before me. So they were looking for somebody, which is, listen, I'm so lucky. The fact that my first TV show became my first TV gig, the first time I was on television, became a regular on a series. And then the first role I have on Broadway is a lead. Although I felt like I sort of prepared for it with all of my civic light opera and my touring and everything else through my childhood. But, you know, I worked very hard for the audition. They flew me in, so I knew it was serious. I was terrified. The audition was hours and hours. They had me do it, you know, sing every which way they possibly could.
So it was an audition. It wasn't a direct offer.
Oh God, no.
Wow, that's interesting. Just only because you had been working for the company, and I know the Disney Broadway is different than you know, Disney Channel and all that. But that's cool that they wanted to kind of make sure that the role was right for you and you were right for the role and all that. So yeah, that's interesting. So you went in and auditioned for hours and hours. Then what?
For hours and hours, and you know, because like then it became a sort of more of a work session, and because it's a machine. It's like no matter how talented you are, it's like they don't really want your ideas sometime or your version. You want to see that you can do it the way they see it,
right?
And then eventually add your own thing if they trust you. But I did it, and then really after those long hours that night, maybe about 5 or 6, I got a call that I got it, and I was so excited. And of course, I called my mom right away, and I think I went into Barney's and I bought a pair of leather gloves. It was really cold and raining out, and I thought that would be my first gift for myself. And it was an amazing experience. But it was a 10-day put-in, which was terrifying as well. A put-in is, you know, the rehearsals. And I didn't even work with the cast till that day, till opening. That morning they brought the cast in. So for 10 days, about 8 or 9 days, I worked with one person who was the choreographer, and it's her job to bring in the new people, you know? So it was terrifying. I was terrified. I just was terrified. It was awful. That opening, you know, when they play Little Town, It's a Quiet Village, the do-do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah.
I don't even remember any of it, that whole first performance, but it was amazing. I think I was in it about 6 months, you know. The very last performance, like you said, Johnny Osmond was in it. He was a wonderful human being. Everybody was really supportive. It was hard. It's hard having your whole day free, knowing that you have a big responsibility at night, in the sense that, like, you're just scared of things that aren't even going to happen. You know what I mean? It definitely keeps you on your toes, you know. But a lot of people in the cast, because it was closing, were depressed and sad and tired. And, you know, I experienced some of that too, which I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say. It's not all glitz and glamour, you guys. It's really hard. It was. I was like, you guys, this is going to be great. But for other people, it was like, our job's ending, our paychecks are no longer, you know, it was sort of sad.
What an interesting energy to walk into. I remember my brother, as we all have had, a million friends go in and out of that company over the course of its life. And people that were either in it or my brother saw it before you came into it. He's like, man, you can tell they're going to start closing that. They're going to close that show because they stopped, like, the castle would roll down, and instead of like coming down silently, it was like,
oh yeah, oh my God, no, TJ, sometimes it wouldn't even work. Like one time we had to stop the show because it came down and then it just stopped, but like it stopped several feet before it was supposed to stop.
Yeah.
Also, when when the beast would turn into the man, you know, he'd be like hooked onto something on his back, and then they would spin him. And one night they spun him till he hit the upside down part, and his head was on the bottom, and it just froze like that and got stuck for like 45 minutes.
Oh, super fun.
So then, yeah. So
yeah, I can
costumes
imagine.
were insane too, though. The dress was 30 pounds. It was so heavy. I mean, it really had a mind of its own if you spun too quickly.
Right.
I also remember, you know, there were so many things I would have done differently. I would have taken more of it in, and I would have taken more photos, and I would have invited more people to see it, and I wouldn't have been so scared. But I also, the last night, my sister finally came to see it, who I really respect. She's done a lot of theater in London, and she's just very talented. But she saw it, and she was like, yeah, it's good, it was good. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, she's like, I don't know, it just seems so serious, Liska. It was so serious. I think I wanted to make this like statement of like what a great Belle I was, and I was good, but I sort of lost the whimsical Disney-esque cartoon like positivity. I made it a little too Chicago. So
you want to sink your teeth into it. No, yeah, I love it.
Liza does Belle on Broadway.
Yeah, I would pay so much money. I remember seeing a clip of you. I think you were like the only Belle, at least that I had heard of, that belted the crap out of A Change in Me. That was like, you're like the first one, I think, or the only one to really like belt it, like not just mix it and Disney princess sound. And I thought it was, I was like, that's the way that needs to be sung, because it's all, and she really, there's so much more weight behind it. And it just felt like the first time I was like, oh, that song now means something, and it works really, really well. I thought that was something really beautiful that you contributed to that part.
I mean, I'd like to pretend like that was a choice, but like mixing for me is not really like an option. I mean, that's not true. I can mix, and I can mix more now than I ever have before. But that was a thing too. You know, they were real particular how they wanted. I had trouble, you know, they didn't want that weighty belt. They wanted that more face singing nasal and I understand that too.
That had to be hard, because I know so many also friends who have come in as a replacement, and getting, as you touched on a little bit, getting permission almost to bring yourself to a part, because they just, in casting, even in the casting director workshop that we've kind of held on here that we're going to touch on in part 2, is that when you're casting a replacement, they're so often looking for this carbon copy of what's come before, and people that are not going to ask questions and can just kind of walk in.
Understand.
Yeah, I get it to a degree, because it's, I think, mostly about not disrupting the company around, especially since they get one rehearsal with you. And if you're all of a sudden going to have all these different beat changes and different things, it could really disrupt the show. But I feel like there are degrees of like A Change in Me. That's just you, and Dad's sitting there watching you sing it. So why can't that be you and not whoever came before you, you know? So anyway, that's another discussion for another time.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever heard of like the Wicked Camp? You know?
Yes.
Like
they had one for Avenue Q. They've had, so many shows. Yeah.
It's crazy. I've gone in for Wicked for, not for Glinda, not for Elphaba, but for Galinda. And
you're so good.
That'd be amazing to see.
I'm not kidding you guys. I'm not joking. I went in 9 times. This is when I was doing Vanities. They brought me in 9 times. By the end of it, I didn't even know who I was anymore. I was like, I like literally, like not one choice was mine. It was fine, but I was like, wow, they don't want me.
They want Kristen and Megan Hilty. That's who they want.
I'm like, yeah, it was really hard. And Linda's
wow.
Get it.
Wow.
So I have a question though, Annaliese. Do you prefer working in theater, or do you prefer working in TV?
How about you, Jillian? What do you know? Question. Oh God, I just enjoy working. My gosh, I just enjoy working. If I had to pick, I think TV, because I do like to change up a bit, and I like a 9 to 5, and I like a lot of money. I'm just kidding. No, it's not even a lot of money, especially when you talk about Disney Channel. But I like the 9 to 5. I do, and I don't know. Theater's hard. Like theater's hard. It's more of a grind. I'm getting older, and it's harder. I do miss belting my face off. I do miss sinking my teeth into something, not just musical theater wise. I would love to do a straight play, like a Venus and Fur, or like a Ibsen, like, you know, a real challenge. I think theater can be more challenging. I think they're just different. I couldn't pick which one I liked more.
I think that's why I love, or what I've also known, like a lot of TV people that even we've worked with, that they love the regional theater thing, because they're like, I can still do the 9 to 5 TV thing, and then I don't have to do 8 shows a week. I'll go do 5 shows a week at this regional theater for 3 weeks and sink my teeth into a dream part, and then get to walk away from it instead of a 6-month contract, 8 shows a week, you know, out of state. It's kind of a nice way to get, you know, best of both worlds, probably.
Yeah, I've done a lot of those, and I agree. It's exactly that. It's kind of like a little escape. They put you up and you're challenged. You make new friends. And yeah, it's like another check off the list of a character that you've developed, you know?
Yeah. So let's fast forward. So now we get to 2017, Raven's Home. There's been so many reboots on every network, you know, right? Raven's Home has been among those to be successful, and entering into season 4, which I know Julian's going to talk about in a little bit. But you know, how did it come about? Was that something that Raven spearheaded? The Disney Channel approached you guys about? How did that all come about?
Yeah, Raven. You know, Raven gets done. She gets her stuff done. Like when she wants to do something, she does it. You know, I think it was that time Fuller House had come out. A lot of other spinoffs had been, you know, bubbling about. And Raven has a really good relationship with Gary Marsh, who heads the Disney Channel. And she always wanted to do it. In what capacity, we didn't know. A long time ago, they offered us a movie and she wasn't available for that. And then this came. You know, I just didn't believe it. She told me like a year before it actually happened, even before that announcement on The View, but I just like wasn't believing it. It just seemed too good to be true that I got to, you know, reprise this role again and work with her and not even have to audition and all of that stuff. But she just made it happen. I think she thought it was really important to show a different kind of family and to show a family with two mothers spearheading, you know, the responsibilities of parenting. And I thought that was really cool. I mean, I wasn't going to say no to that. I remember I had an audition too, at the same time for a CBS pilot, which I won't name. And I was getting pretty far in it to play the wife of someone, and it didn't work out. And I thought, I was really, you know, it was disappointing. It was a network thing as opposed to the Disney Channel. But long story short, in the end, I thought, I don't really want to play another guy's wife like in this situation. And I'm glad I get to do this with Raven instead. I'm glad I get to play the husband of Raven instead.
You know, it's so cool because, you know, it is such a diverse household, which I love. And I think that's, you know, so important right now to see, you know, all, like you said, all different kinds of families. And I'm sure, you know, do you feel like that's a part of, I mean, obviously That's So Raven was huge, and you guys all had a big following, but there's been a lot of huge shows that have tried to reboot that have not had the success you guys have had and made it into 4 seasons and now hopefully beyond. But what do you feel like has been a big reason as to why this has caught on and stayed so relevant for people?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I guess 4 seasons is good and we're going strong. We still have more, you know. Obviously, we're lucky we have that fan base that have stuck through us. I think the people hopefully watching right now in this meeting and everyone, and just, yeah, our fan base grew up with Raven and I, and so now those older people have children and they're watching the show with their children. So we're lucky in that sense that we've got to be able to keep those fans, hopefully. And that it is diverse. It's a diverse family. I think the Disney Channel did a good job with us. I hope they go further. I think they still have a long way to go. I think a lot of other networks do too. But the diversity, the physical comedy, Raven's funny. Raven's never going to not be funny. They're all funny. All the kids are funny. But really, Raven is so funny. I mean, I genuinely laugh when I'm watching her. Like
I told you when we were talking over the phone earlier, just the first episode of her dodging those tennis balls and then whacking them with her butt, I literally started cry laughing. And I was watching it to see my friend and to show my kids and everything. And I was like, I want to watch this show. This is so freaking funny. And I think that families can do together, which is so important right now.
And it's a lost art. You know, I've always been a big fan of French and Saunders and, you know, Laverne and Shirley and
Lucy
and Ethel.
Lucy and Ethel, which is funny, to be honest. So the reboot of Lucy was actually kind of the same thing as Raven's Home. Originally in 1962, both characters were actually supposed to be divorced, but 1962 audiences couldn't actually handle 2 divorced women, so they made Lucy a widow,
right,
with their children. So it's funny because Raven's Home, I mean, you guys are exactly like Lucy and Ethel. I love Lucy. I think that's why adults sort of like gravitate towards it as well.
Oh, Julian, so interesting. I didn't know that though about I Love Lucy. Do
yeah,
you
just
know?
tidbits of info that you don't ever need to know, ever.
No, I love that information. Here's something you don't know. We film on their set, on the I Love Lucy set.
Shut up.
What?
Oh,
That's amazing.
Okay, so when I get to come visit, I'm going to probably cry a little bit because that's my all-time favorite show. That's amazing.
Yeah, you see.
And I'm going to be TJ's adopted child, by the way, when I come when we visit.
Yeah, you see a lot of photos and artwork on the outside, and you see where their old dressing rooms they've kept intact. I mean, those aren't ours, but they're so much smaller and like off to the side. But yeah, they had two stages, and we're on them.
Oh my gosh, that's the coolest. I love that. What's been like, because we're gonna have to start getting into the Q&A soon, but what's your favorite moment filming either That's So Raven or Raven's Home? Is there something that stood out to you as like, that was my favorite moment?
Oh, my favorite moment.
Either something that maybe was on screen or maybe off screen, just like this was an amazing moment.
Oh, that's hard. I mean, there were so many. It's really just, I'm just going to say what everybody says, like just getting my car. I remember I saved all this money to get this like really old 1990 Mustang. And like the first time I picked up Raven and Orlando in it, I picked him up on set and they didn't even know who I was because I just showed up in the car. I was the last person to get my license. They kept making fun of me, but yeah, and like hanging out with Rondell in our old dressing rooms and like coming back to the new show. I have the same parking spot I had on the first one. That set that we filmed That's So Raven on and that I Love Lucy's on is also the Raven's home set. So it's like,
oh, cool.
I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed. I'm really so lucky. I know.
That kind of tied into my next question, which was just like, what is it like on set? And it sounds like it's just a big, happy family.
It is. I'm kind of working. Oh, I'm actually a little emotional. I'm kind of like working with the same people I worked with all of those years ago. I can't believe that those people still have jobs, and that, I mean, it's sad now too because of what's going on in the world. I hope it's not over. I mean, I don't think it is. We'll all go back to normal, but I hope, I mean, older people, old makeup artists who were, 40 are now 60 years old, still doing makeup and still doing my makeup,
That's
and
amazing. Yeah, that's so cool.
That's
so cool. And to get to come back to mostly the same, I like a lot of these reboots, I think, try to bring back the same crew and the same everybody, as many as they can. And I think
Disney Channel's really done that. I think that's so honorable,
It is, yeah, because that's what made the show special to begin with, was not just Raven, not just you, not just anyone else, but is the entire team on and off stage that makes it what it is. And so I think that's really great of them to do that. Yeah. I have one more question before Julian gets into talking about season 4 a little bit, and then we're going to go into the rapid fire and then to the Q&A. It's going to be over before we know it. So my last question is basically, what is your sorry, I got sidetracked. On script, on set, is it more scripted or is there any ad lib? Like because Raven and you both are just so hysterical and it seems so fresh. And I know that like a lot of the, banter between you guys or the bits that happen, like how much of that is that developed in rehearsal? And then just talk about your process a little bit, like each week. Do you film each week? And then, like a normal situation comedy, and how many tapings do you do? Like I know Golden Girls used to do an afternoon taping and then they'd rework and they do an evening taping. Mm-hmm. How do you guys run that?
That's a great question, and everybody does it differently or somewhat differently. So we film an episode a week. We come in on a Monday. The writers have been working on it. We read through the script on Monday and in a big room, and then we separate and the writers keep working and they change what they didn't like as we rehearse. So we rehearse Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And each of those days, the script does change. We do a table read, then we rehearse, then they change it. Then we do a table read, rehearse, they change it. And then on Thursdays and Fridays, we tape. Well, that's when we start taping. Thursday, we tape all day, 8 to 8 at night or whenever they have to let the kids go, really. And then on Friday, we tape as well, but it's with a live audience. So we block and shoot all the way up till Friday night. And then we have that live audience. Most of the time we have a live audience. Every now and then we can't. And the script changes. It changes significantly. Usually it starts about 45 pages and ends up being about 38 pages. And they kind of see what works and what doesn't. Raven does a lot of ad-libbing. And of course she's a producer now, so she gets to really say what works or doesn't. If something doesn't, she'll say it. It's kind of amazing to watch. And like,
she's pretty, I have to say, like she, I don't know her. I had friends, many friends with who worked with her in Sister Act on Broadway, which I was so angry I didn't get to see, because if there's anybody that can, when you step into an iconic role like that, just to like talk about Raven for a second, when you step into such an iconic part, you have to make people forget. You give the essence of of course what they want, but you have to make people forget the original in a sense and reinvent it and make it your own. And I feel like she would be the only person able to do that, because she is just, her sense of self and ownership of who she is truly amazing, and her voice is insane. But you guys, like, I'm so thrilled to see that she's a producer on the show now and has a control over that, because you can see it in the work that you guys are doing, you know, and just herself, you know, how I think that it seems like a really good the trickle down effect, you know what I mean, in the way that it ends up working on the show. So that's great to hear that.
It's amazing to even be working with her every day in all of our lives, and to still be surprised by her, surprised by how funny she is, and surprised at how smart she is. And often I'll watch the show back and I'm realizing that I wasn't watching her in rehearsal because I was worried about what I was doing and what I had to do and getting my job done. That later on I get to focus on her when I'm watching the show, and I'm like, she is so freaking funny. Like, her physical stuff are just things that I didn't even realize she was doing, or never saw her before. Like, even just her dancing, her just doing a dance in absolute silence is the stupidest thing. She'll make up something you've never seen before, like a dance move you've never seen. She's amazing. But what was the question?
Can I ask a quick question? I see a Raven Simone Pierman on here. Is that actually Raven Simone?
Where?
I'm asking because
I saw her come in. And I was like, wait, no.
That's why you stopped. I saw you stop for you stopped for a hot second.
I was like, wait, no.
Anyway,
maybe it's
we
just
can move
a
on.
fan.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So I don't remember the question either. I guess I should go back.
Ad-libbing.
Oh yeah,
you were asking about ad-libbing.
How much is ad-libbed and how much is, you know, is scripted?
I'd say like a good 30 or 40% is ad-libbed, you know, and it's her,
that's cool.
Scopes. But you know, when she says something too, like if she's like, Liska, don't do that, you know why? Because this and this. If she says it, it's true. It will come true. Like, what she says happens. No fail. Like, listen to Raven Simone and your mothers.
I love it. All right, so Julian, you wanted to talk a little bit about season 4.
Yeah, so season 4. I'm so excited. Congratulations. It was at first another season. Do you know how many seasons you guys are greenlit, or is it just season 4?
We're greenlit for 31 seasons.
Yeah! Amazing. I'll watch all of them.
Yeah! I don't know. We're definitely greenlit for 4 seasons. We've filmed about like 7 or 8, and we still have many more, but we don't know anything. We wouldn't know about a 5th season for like another year, but hopefully, especially because I don't know what people are doing for content now because of the
well, they're coming to 3D+U and they're watching you on Fantastical Fridays. That's what they're doing.
Fridays.
You'll have to re-record our theme song for us.
Why? It's already perfection.
Well, it's my voice, so you should do it though. So questions about season 4. So Chelsea has been a life coach. She's ran a pizza parlor out of Raven's home, invented the schmop. What's in store for season 4?
Oh my God, I knew you were going to ask me that. Like, what's wrong with me, you guys? I don't even remember. I was like, let me just look at my emails. I'm like, what?
I can name some of these show titles because let's be honest, these show titles are kind of amazing.
For season 4?
Baking Bad. Yeah, season 4.
Breaking
Sharp
Bad.
Jobjects, How I Met Your Mentor, Wheel of Misfortune, Different Strikes, Don't Trust the G in Apartment 4B.
I love it.
I love it.
You're
You
so
named them
funny.
basically on other TV shows, basically.
I know. I'm like, hold on. I'm just trying to look at my phone for.
While you're looking at your phone, one of them is a pun on I grew up on the set of different oh my gosh, no, you
Different
didn't do
Strokes?
this. No, Silver Spoons. I thought one of them was a Silver Spoons pun because Ricky Schroeder.
Oh my God, you're pulling that out. Does anyone even remember Silver
himself in all
Spoons?
kinds of trouble right now, but he was my godfather. I rode that train and I was at craft services all the time.
Oh my God. When I was a kid, I was dying to ride that train in the opening sequence. Oh, I loved it.
So funny.
So cute. Okay, I'm looking at Raven's series writers. I don't know. I can't. It's like we do.
She's like, you guys, I just show up. I get to my parking space. I do my makeup. I learn my lines. Don't ask me. I don't remember.
I don't like school.
Well, we've only filmed 8 of them. What's happening in them? We haven't filmed our Christmas episode. You guys, just ask me something else. I'll try to figure it out. Isn't that sad? Why does that happen? It's because they change so much. It's not like I'm talking about one show. It's because I'm talking about so many episodes I just can't remember. Like I can't.
That makes sense.
And then when I go back into my phone to look at the scripts, it goes back to 2018 for some crazy reason.
Plus, you guys probably shot in the beginning of the year, right? Is that when you guys started shooting?
Yes. And we've stopped shooting for about 2 months now. No, that's not true. A month
And
now.
and none of our brains are working at this point. Let's be honest. We're all kind of sort of just moving along.
Why don't we do?
Why don't I move into the art? So we have a fast 2-minute game where I ask you questions and you try to get as many answers as possible. The more you answer, the more I love you. That is a grand prize for some people. But this is the game where the points don't matter and it's just like Little League. So are you ready for our little 2-minute game?
I'm ready and I'm terrified. Let's do this.
Okay, let's do this. Would you rather be able to see the future or always be able to make people laugh?
Always be able to make people laugh.
What song would you sing at karaoke?
My Man.
That's So Raven or Raven's Home?
That's So Raven.
What For Dummies book would you write?
Say that again, I couldn't hear it.
What For Dummies book would you write?
How to be selfless. How to be selfless.
Love that.
What's your guiltiest pleasure?
Real Housewives.
If you could be any Disney princess, who would you be?
Ariel.
Oh man. What's the best advice you've ever been given?
Listen to your mother.
What's the most embarrassing moment you've witnessed?
Oh God. Oh, this is too hard.
Okay, moving on to the next one. What would you love to find at a yard sale?
These are good. I'm not smart enough for this game. An old playbill of a musical I like.
What was your dad's favorite swear word?
But he'd say it with a Dutch accent.
Which Disney TV show should they reboot next?
Even Stevens.
Should Chelsea get her own spin-off
Yes.
show?
Always yes, duh.
What was the best TV sitcom ever?
Oh, Seinfeld.
If you could appear on any game show, which would you choose?
Not Family Feud. Whose line is it anyway? That's not a game show.
Yes, it is.
Jeopardy. But I would be too stupid to do it.
I'd pay to watch you do Jeopardy.
Oh God!
Jeopardy.
Like Jeopardy for idiots.
And do you have any superstitions?
No, I don't believe in that stuff.
And that's the end of our 2-minute round.
Sorry,
Thank you,
guys.
Kelsey. So we're going to open it up to Q&A for questions. I know we've got a few questions already on the board.
From Zachary Raymond.
Who's raising their hand?
Okay, so I see many, but this could be very unfair. It's between hands up and who I see first. I see Emily. I'm gonna unmute you. Emily, you're on.
Hi. So I just have a question as somebody who has grown up doing theater and majored in theater, but is interested in transferring or doing theater or TV and movies as well. What would you be like your number one piece of advice for somebody who's wanting to do both or start going into a business that I don't really know much about?
You're so cute. I mean, I would definitely say do it. If you're interested in one, the other should come into suit. You know, it's like what everybody says, to really use all of your avenues. Don't be afraid to ask people for help. People need to help you. You know, making those connections, still staying in community theater if you're able to, because that's how to make connections as well. getting into every class you possibly can. Like anything that's at your disposal, you have to take that opportunity. I'm sure everybody says that.
Yeah.
But don't think that it's hard or different. I mean, you can do it. Absolutely. Where are you majoring in at school and college right now in something, or?
Yeah, I actually just graduated from UC Irvine.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. As a musical theater major. So, but I took one class in film and TV and just like really loved it.
Oh, good.
So yeah, looking into kind of going that direction as well.
Oh yeah, the musical theater department will only help you with that too. I really believe they work hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a question that was put in the chat that I think is great to ask. So it says, as actors, we often get in our heads in the midst of the creative process and we block ourselves, often before we even go into an audition. How do you overcome fear and doubt, and how can you tap into that creativity?
Oh, wow. Oh, well, if I can just relate real quickly, I have so many insecurities. I'm the same way. I really have to push out all of those things that tell me that everybody else is better for the role than me. I don't know. I think, obviously meditation and all of those things are really important before an audition, really listening to music, being so incredibly prepared with your memorization and everything else that you don't have room for those doubts to sway you in any way, that you're just so prepared that you can at least rely on that. And just really remembering that, like, first of all, anything and everything is so cool now. They're really letting people kind of be what they want and have, we have these avenues of social media and stuff to put our stuff out there. But just like, I don't know, just when you think you suck, just remember of that other person who sucked more than you, right? I see people on TV all the time or in movies all the time that just aren't that great. And I'm thinking, well, if they can do it, I certainly can, right? I mean, there's always somebody worse than you, but there's no way around that. It's just hard work and really believing. Either you're going to believe in yourself or not, because nobody else is going to, especially if you don't. I don't know.
Well, Misha Devine has asked this question 3 times now, so I think we should ask it. What was it like to film the remix episode on Raven Home?
The remix episode?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
She doesn't remember.
Misha! What the hell? I'm going to be mad at you and your cameo coming up. You guys, I don't know. What's the remix one? What's the remix?
That's a good question. I don't even know.
I'm so sorry, guys.
If it's season 3, I didn't see it yet because I just bought it on Amazon Prime. So why don't I ask this one instead? What was your favorite Chelsea Raven moment from either of the shows, Raven's Home or That's So Raven?
I just love when we're like really there for each other, anytime we have like a sappy real moment. I love when we're like mean to the kids together. I love when we really put our foot down, and I love when she's so firm, she's kind of like the dad. Well, that's super sexist. Sometimes the mom's the harsher one, but I don't know. Oh, look, I found another picture of me. And that's so great.
I love it.
I just tried to distract you. Yeah, it's so hard to remember specific moments, but just any moment with Ray.
Well, should we ask? Let Sammy. I'm gonna unmute Sammy so he can ask this question.
Oh, hi.
Sammy, Dorn.
I was wondering if you had any tips and auditions for like leaving like a lasting impact on the directors.
So sorry, honey, say that one more time.
Oh, sorry. Do you have any tips like for auditions, like on leaving like a lasting impact on the directors?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, listen, you drove that 45 minutes, that hour, your parents drove you somewhere to this audition. Take your time in the room. Obviously, always be friendly. If you can be funny, that's great, in an organic, natural way. But, all of those things about having contact, having confidence, holding your head up high, making eye contact, and really just not having that invisible sign of desperation over your forehead, over your head. Really just taking that time to have fun in a room and show them what you got. They want you to be good. They want to be done with their job. They don't want to sit in the room and cast for hours and hours. They're on your side more than you think. So let them know you've got what it takes just with your confidence. And yeah, just being extra prepared. That's all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Sammy.
A boy, Raymond or Alex B?
I guess I just found out. So the remix episode is the musical episode that you guys shot.
Oh, the musical episode. Oh, that was fun. That was fun. You know, again, I'm like such a musical theater person. I think I had to sing up Turn Up Juice. That was fun. You know, I mean, I don't know. It was really, you know, sometimes I just have to shut my mouth. It's not about me. This show's not about me. It's about the kids, you know. Really, it was fun, but singing Turn Up Juice for 45 minutes is, you know, I'm just being honest. I was proud of Jason, and I was proud of how it looked. And I think as a show as a whole, it looked really nice and it was good.
Oh man, wow, that thought went right out of my head.
I get it.
Wow.
We're getting old.
On that note, I guess we should have Emily Fraser ask for questions since TJ forgot
and
what he was
also,
gonna say.
yes, and also I want to make sure we call on Raymond. I saw his hand waving frantically.
Yes, Zachary Raymond, he really went.
Okay, so we have like probably time for like 3 or 4 more questions. So let me get Emily right here. Emily, say hello.
Hello.
Hello, hi, honey.
Hi. So I'm a current senior at OSHA. And so I would love to hear about, I know you said you didn't like school, but I would love to hear about your favorite memory at OSHA because it's such a special place and maybe some relationships that you have that just.
Well, that's a good question. Well, first of all, how's OSHA doing right now? Are you in Santa Monica? There's their
Santa Ana.
Santa Ana.
Not quite as bougie as Santa Monica.
I meant Santa Ana. I graduated more like my sister took my GED, but from OSHA in Santa Ana, and I remember like being late to class and it being cool because we were in that building with the elevator and everybody would get stuck on the elevator. I remember I had a teacher named Gary. Shoot, he was one of our. I don't know. I liked it. Is the Gypsy Den still there? The Gypsy.
Oh yeah, it's still there. The elevator's still super slow. It gets crammed.
I ditched many classes to go to the Gypsy Den. Terrible. It's terrible. I do remember loving my arts classes. I remember loving all those commercial dance classes. I remember loving my English class. Our English class was in the church across the street.
Oh yeah.
Those were some fun memories. But sorry, I think that's it. Yeah.
But before we call on Raymond, someone is asking, can you please say hi, Melanie?
I think they're just saying Melanie and Jasleen.
Hi, Melanie and Jasleen. Hi, Melanie. Hi, Jasleen.
There you go. All right, perfect.
And if you want a longer message, go on Cameo.
Okay, so yeah.
Should we go to Mackenzie? Mackenzie.
It was Raymond. Oh my God.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mackenzie. I'm muting you. Raymond. But I don't know where Raymond is.
I'm right here. It's me.
Thanks. Oh, hey, Raymond.
Hi,
Hello. So I do have to say, I'm probably the only person on this meeting that didn't grow up with That's a Raven. But right? I know. But what I did grow up with is a little project called Shalom Sesame.
Oh, what?
I wanted, first of all, I'm a Sunday school teacher. I show Shalom Sesame in my classroom, and all of my kids love you.
Rachov Sum.
Rachov Sum Sum, yes, with you sang My Missing Menorah, which is in my audition book. Never sung, but it's in the book.
I got to tell you something right now. Take that song out of your audition book right now.
I got 2 jobs at synagogues with that song. Don't ask me why. But my question for you is first of all, thank you for giving Jewish kids television that we could watch. It was amazing.
You're so welcome.
But you spoke a little bit about your time in like the Wicked camp and how you didn't really get to be yourself. But on Rachov Sum Sum, you got to literally play Annaliese. And what is it like getting, making no choices and getting to make all the choices while playing yourself?
That's a good question. I keep saying that's a good question. Rachov Sum Sum was so close to my heart. I had never gone through Birthright. Unfortunately, I was working, but my sisters.
I'm waiting to.
And it hasn't been approved or something?
No, not yet.
Because you're not a good enough Jew, honey. Where's your yarmulke? You got to get your.
I went to school at the American Jewish University getting my degree in cantoral studies. I'm good enough. Trust me.
Yes, you are. Being in Israel was amazing. I flew into Tel Aviv, but I got to go to Jerusalem and go to the Wailing Wall and everything. And so that was really special. And it was getting really special being able to speak a bit of Yiddish and Hebrew and be myself. Yes, I got to be myself. But more importantly, I'm still looking for that next chapter in my life to be myself, to be my funny adult self. I've never been able to do that, not on a network show or a streaming show or anything. I don't even think Raven's really been able to have that opportunity. Of course, she tried more so on The View. I don't know how well that went in the end. No, I'm just kidding. But she didn't get to do like comedy, like adult comedy, and so I'm still kind of waiting to do that. If that kind of answers.
Have you ever thought about doing like a one-woman show type thing, like as yourself? And
yes, I have, and I've done stuff like that at 54 Below, and you know, and that is what helps me remember that. Gosh, I'm funny, but funny more so as me, and funny when I'm able to riff with an audience and sort of be self-deprecating and speak about my own personal experiences, more so Disney After Dark, which is, you know, I'm still on the Disney Channel. Not that I need to, you know, Bella Thorne it. I love Bella Thorne, but you know what I'm saying. I even if it's just a scripted sitcom, 30-minute sitcom, as an adult, I would love that. And I would love to do that in Israel and Rekov Sum Sum, or you're saying Rekov Sum Sum? Rekov, kind of.
Raymond is a man of many talents. He's also a drag queen.
Rekov Sum Sum.
Rekov, yeah, with a vav at the end.
Rekov.
I know, all the goyim are like, the what? Yeah. You can't have theater without Jews, remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Amen. There's a whole song about that, which I love. I think, because you're getting some shade from I think some Raven Simone in the chat. She's okay now, Liska, when you were talking about The View. So I think she
is it really, because she actually said hello to everybody on here. So it might actually be Raven. Can we unmute her?
That's only if that's up to her. But I mean, I just wanted to pass it along because I don't think Annaliese is looking at the Annaliese.
She's
Raven, unmute her.
Okay, I'm unmuting Raven. Hold on. Let's see if it really is her. Raven?
Well, she has to be okay. She has to okay to unmute. So she may just
be okay with it. All
I
right.
think she might want to just, if it is her, she wants to just, you know, be here to see her friend, which is awesome.
Well, let's take two more questions because we're after 4, but we're having so much fun. So let's take 2 more questions, and then we got to ask you our final question, Annaliese, before we leave. So, Mackenzie, you are up.
First off, Annaliese, I love your character on Raven's Home.
Thanks, Mackenzie. Thank you, honey.
I don't know if I have a question for you, but then there's something else I want to say. What is it like being on Raven's Home?
Oh, it's magical. It's magical. I didn't talk about this. It's really amazing, kind of in part of, this sounds so gross, but imparting my wisdom and Raven and I's wisdom on these young folk, on these children. They're growing before our eyes. And I don't have children of my own, and I don't know if that's going to happen for me. I don't want to talk about it, but so that's kind of a way for me to give back. I do teach and everything else, but it's a way for me to give back and to kind of like relive my life again through my own experiences, from That's Raven to Raven's Home, but also as them. You know, it's so funny to see them make mistakes and see things happen that know that something's going to happen that the kids don't. You know, and just their hormones, and them being, you know, flirtatious and having crushes, and not knowing comedic timing, and then learning about comedic timing. All of that's been kind of like a growth for all of us to experience together. So being on Raven's Home has been amazing, a blessing, and everything.
That's awesome.
And we have one last question from Alexis Cole. Alexis.
Okay, I apologize for looking like a small brown boy. I am so sorry. So we're tripping over here. Okay, I want to know, would you ever consider doing like a one-on-one with aspiring actors? Like myself, I I appreciate your comedic side, and I sing also. So like I appreciate all those aspects. Did you ever work one-on-one?
You mean is in
or a small group?
Yeah, you know, I teach with a school called Actors Giving Back, and it's a company I've been teaching for about 10 years now, over a decade. And I teach a class of about 20, and then sometimes it gets smaller with the more advanced kids. I don't often do privates, but maybe it's something I have to think about. I hadn't had time till recently, but definitely something I'm thinking about. And you'll be the first person to let know.
Thank you, because I would do that. I admire you so much. Like I've watched you for years, and I'm like, how do I get on this level? Because your girl is all the way down here, and you're like, so you know, I admire you so much.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. You know, you guys, it warms my heart because, I mean, I don't want to say something like, I'm just like you guys, but like I am. Like somebody was just telling me about something I should audition for, and I was just like, no, I'm not right for it. No. And I have to go through all of that till I start thinking, okay, well, maybe I'm right for it. Okay, well, I guess I could work on it. I'm so insecure. Like it's hard. It's hard. So thank you for telling me that. I need to hear those things too. And to hear that you could even learn something from me is warms my heart. Thank you. Really.
Well, sorry, you go, TJ.
I was gonna say there's someone who said if they can get unmuted really quick, they have something just to say. Please.
It was Mackenzie. So let me find Mackenzie. Mackenzie.
You guys are doing a great job with all the technology.
I just wanted to say something to Annaliese. I just wanted to say that I have watched Raven's Home since it came out, and That's So Raven, and I loved the show. And I don't know if you remember, but last year I flew all the way from Maryland to come to Sorry to Bother You taping. The episode Sorry to Bother You.
So yeah. Mm-hmm. And you got your script signed, yeah?
I kept I had the water bottle, and I didn't even open it. I was like, I'm keeping that as like just to remember my time in Los Angeles.
Oh, when we handed out water bottles. That's cool.
Yep.
What was Sorry to Bother You about?
Right here.
You remember what? Let me see that script of Sorry to Bother You.
Sorry to Bother You. Yeah, it's the one where
bother you.
It's the one where Garrett had just got out of like jail, and he came to see Levi, and then they had like a little day where he made the smoothies.
Yes, Jono Wilson plays the dad. He does a great job too. Yeah, I remember that episode. Thanks for coming down or up.
Is that the episode where he steals the idea for the schmop?
No, not that one. That is the character.
No, I don't think it was that one. I don't know why I'm saying that, because you obviously know more than I do.
No, she doesn't. No, she doesn't.
We've learned now that she doesn't know which episode is which.
I think he ends up getting along with Raven in that episode, and they cook something together, maybe. I don't know.
Well,
did you burn it down? Because I mean,
we'll just rewatch it. We're all going to rewatch it. Well, we're now at 4:11. We probably should wrap up. So, Annaliese, we usually end our Fantastical Fridays hour asking our guests, what makes this a Fantastical Friday, and how can we make it even more fantastical?
She was about to make it really fantastic.
Wow.
What? Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I know it sounds cheesy, but I don't know I hope everyone's been outside at least once today, even if it's just like going outside and taking a deep breath in and out and really looking around. Hold on, let me turn my alarm off. I already worked out today. I did a little P90X situation. But I think making it fantastical in really, if you can, in some way, feeling good about yourself by, I sound so gross, but like by donating, even if it's just to something or someone, like your time or a song or anything. I know people are saying that all the time, but that's what makes it a great end to a week, because we're just in such a bad time right now, you guys. It's like, how are we going to feel good about ourselves unless we do something? Obviously, we're doing something right now, which we've all done, but I think that's what's going to make it a fantastical Friday from the Fridays here on out.
And I think that's a beautiful way to end it, because that's exactly what you're doing right now. You're donating your time. Oh, hey, you're donating your time and spending your time with us. And I know we go a long time back, but you didn't have to do this. And it was so incredibly sweet and kind of you. And I miss you and miss your family. And I'm just so thankful, so thankful for you. And so thrilled. Your success could not have happened to a more deserving person. And I'm just truly blessed to call you a friend. And one day we're gonna get you back on stage. We're gonna get you down and get you a part you want to play, and we'll do it. It'll be so fun.
And hopefully we can get you back on here for Zoom, because lots of people are asking if you will come back on Zoom. And hopefully we can get Raven as well, and both of you guys back on. I'm just gonna plug that in because I think it is actually Raven, because she actually has mentioned a few things so far. So
he's fangirling right now.
This is the pinnacle of my career. I'm just going to say this. I can die happy at this very moment. So thank you.
Knowing that he got to talk to you and that Raven was lurking in our Zoom session.
I'm done. I'm done. My life is over.
Bye.
Well, thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank all of you. I want to thank all of you, really, especially at 3. Well, first of all, everybody for saying hi and hanging out with me for a bit, and also 3D Theatricals for keeping theater alive. It's so important. Civic light operas are so important. I miss Downey CLO. I miss.
Oh yeah.
I miss these. Yeah, and I'm just so glad you guys still do amazing theater in my hometown. Thank you. Thanks for doing these classes. And yeah, we should do a lot more. The Dawson, all of you guys are amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. We love you.
Thank you.
I love you.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Fantastical
It
Friday.
was.
Thank you.
Yeah.